Welcome, my friends, to Clobby'S Comics Corner. Spinner Rack Time Machine, Week 2, 1971. And I want to thank everyone who watched and commented on my first video. It was a kind of a ramshackle type of a deal there. It was a little bit rough, and then I made some errors. I want to correct the errors really quickly. When I was speaking of just mentioning Tales to Astonish, that Fear reprint book, and I just idiotically said I mentioned Captain America and Iron Man, when actually that was a book inhabited, of course, by many others, but in particular, originally, Ant-Man, Giant Man, Wasp, and later many other characters, but it was Tales of Suspense that Captain America and Iron Man inhabited together. So just a little screw up, and a bigger screw up, of course. And a big shout out to the great D. Bud Martin for pointing this out. I've had these comics, so there's no excuse to make these stupid old man mistakes, but I do. Well, hey, that's why we're in a time machine. We're trying to get younger. But I mentioned that Marvel Triple Action, which was, of course, a reprint of what was it? Where's my triple action? There you go. My Marvel Triple Action that I mentioned, it was reprints, but I'd forgotten, or just forgot to mention idiotically that, and I actually made the mistake of saying that it was before Marvel's Greatest Comics. It was not. Originally, Marvel's Greatest Comics was, of course, Marvel Collector's Items Classics. I think I used to have either this issue 2 or 3. But anyway, after 22 issues, it switched to Marvel's Greatest Comics and became with issue number 23, and that was like in 1969 or something like that. Probably got that year wrong too, because I always get crap wrong these days. Anyway, on to week 2. I had a great time doing this video and hearing from so many of you. Like I said, week 1, I bought on my pull list, I had Magnus Robot Fighter, I had Star Trek, I had Daredevil, I had a Plastic Man reprints, some great Jack Cole reprints, more reprints with Fear from various older comics. Of course, the Marvel Triple Action, the aforementioned Thor, Wonder Woman, Spidey, and the Avengers, starting the Kree Scroll War. Wow. So what a week it was for week 1 in our time machine of September 1979, my friends. Well, again, I get this information from Mike's Amazing World in terms of the comics that came out that week, just to give you, again, an example of how many comics came out back then, how many comics there were. If you look at this list, and again, I'm going to put a link in the description below. You can make your choices. I'm going to pick 9 more this week, and then that's just these 2 videos back to back were to catch up. I'm going to start doing this every Wednesday, start coming out, so I can get it on a weekly schedule. It's usually New Comics Day, even in the world today. So in my Spinner Rack Time Machine, we go back and we pick up the comics off the stand that we would have selected if we were having a chance to buy these. And again, as I said, there are just so many different titles, so many different publishers. What a time to be buying comics. I would have been 7 years old, but I am using my 2021 old man self sensibilities combined with 7-year-old sensibilities to make my choices. And as I said, I'm going to do usually about 9 every week, but you can do as many as you want, of course. And again, I want to hear from you all in the comments. Anyone who's, which comics you would have picked up that week. In this case, week 2. Let us get it rolling so we can get going. We're going to make it a quick video here, as quick as possible. I like to do corrections, folks, when I can, and when I get something wrong, point it out on me, because look, I have a lousy old man's memory, and I forget stuff. I was in the business for so long, I forget things, and I get things jumbled up. So, D-Bud was in the business for a long time as well, and even before I was, and that's saying something. So, and I appreciate it, and I'm going to mess things up all the time. I misspeak all the time. But anyway, first up, Captain America and the Falcon. 144. Captain America 144. Stories by Gary Friedrich. Art by the great, I say it a lot, I'm sorry, but I love some of these guys. The legendary John Romita Sr. Second story by Friedrich. Art by another great, I love Gray Morrow, inked by Romita, of course. The release date of 9/7 71. And again, one of the great significant thing about this one was this is the first appearance of Sam Wilson, the Falcon, who will always be the Falcon to me, in his red costume. Before this, they had the green one, or the green trim one, I should say. So a monumental issue just so happened to falling on this week 2 of 1971 September, the Spinnerack Time Machine. And we're getting into some of my faves here because I love the Hulk. I'm a big Hulk fan, as I am a big Cap fan, of course, and a big Falcon fan. Incredible Hulk 146 by the great rascally Roy Thomas, and also with some co-writing from Jerry Conway. Art by, again, a great one. I love Herb Trimpe. I'm just a big Herb Trimpe fan. I love this Hulk. And what's extraordinary here is inked by another, just a giant in the field, John Severin, along with his sister Marie, who was wonderful as well. I always love the Trimpe Severin, whether it be the John Severin inks or the Marie, who also did a lot of pencils together. She was amazing. And so I always love this era of the Hulk, with the cover also by Trimpe and Severin. There, so you can see. Subby, the great Submariner. I don't know if I'll ever get tired of overusing the word great, folks, but I'm going to work on that, I promise. Submariner number 44. Story by Jerry Conway. Art by the aforementioned and wonderful Marie Severin. And sister, I believe, to John Severin. A couple of great cartoonists there. Inks by Jim Mooney, who've been around a long time. And, of course, a cover he is the great Gil Kane, one of the greatest artists of all time, especially just a wonderful cover artist. I love Kane. It's kind of fuzzy on who inked him on this one. It could have been Mike Esposito or Frank Giacoya or someone like that. But anyway, it doesn't matter. It's a Kane cover. Love it. And then, of course, the king of comics, Jack King Kirby. Not too far removed from when he left Marvel Comics to go to DC Comics to start creating and building his fourth world. And of course, we have Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen 143, story by Kirby, I believe Royer or somebody like that. There've been some say Neil Adams inked this cover. I don't think so. It doesn't look like it to me. Probably Mike Royer. Interior art, of course, by the great king of comics Jack Kirby. Inked by Vinnie Coletta. Hey, nothing's perfect. Now, Murphy Anderson, gets credited here because, as legendary stories go, that Murphy Anderson used to be called in to clip or redraw. They clipped the faces off of Superman, and he's by Kirby. They didn't want Superman's faces drawn by Kirby, which was idiotic. And so people like Murphy Anderson more frequently, but also I think even Kurt Swan and maybe Kurt Schaffenberger would redraw Superman's face in these Jimmy Olsen comics in the Fourth World stuff when Superman would appear. Dumb, but what can you do? Covered by Kirby and Royer, like I said. Hey, we got an Adams cover on Batman here. Yeah, oh man. Batman 236. Story by Frank Robbins. Yes, he was a well-known cartoonist. And at this time, he was pretty old. He did a lot of stuff later. Remember, I wasn't big on his modern art, but he wrote as just a writer for a while there on Batman with art by Irv Novick. I'm a big Irv Novick fan. I'll talk about Irv Novick a little bit more in the next one, but I like this Batman. Of course, the great Dick Giordano on the inks. An Adams and cover. I put Gasper Celadano, although I think he was mostly a letterer. But you got to love an Adams Batman cover, don't you? The Flash number 210. Story by Carrie Bates. Oh, man. Carrie, I liked a lot of Carrie Bates stuff. I'm not sure if I liked the Superman or his Batman stuff, but he was a gimmicky writer. But, I liked him. It was fun stuff. The Flash Fact. It was a fun comic. By the aforementioned Irv Novick. I liked Novick's Flash, I think, better than his Superman. Because, excuse me, he didn't do Superman. His Batman. I almost got caught in another one there. Sorry. Because, the Flash is supposed to be skinny. And everyone Irv Novick drew was skinny. Inks by the extraordinary Dick Giordano. There was a secondary story by Steve Skates with art by Giordano. And third story was a reprint from Flash 111. And, of course, it is a Giordano cover. So, there we go. I always thought, look I love all those Cardi covers, but this was a Giordano one. I don't know, maybe they could be miscrediting it. You could only go by research, but I think it was him. World's Finest. We did a show about World's Finest this past Monday night. 207. Story by the great Lynn Wein and the extraordinary Dick Dillon art with Joe Giella, another long time, old time guy, an old timer then. Quite like, Dick Dillon is always known for his long stint on Justice League, but he did a few other things, of course, and it's nice to see him do something like this, covered by they are great. The Swanderson team, Kurt Swan and Murphy Anderson. What's not to love? Love me some World's Finest. Okay, Astonishing Tales number 9. Kazar. I always just say Kazar for some reason, but it's really probably Kazar. And of course, he's actually a character that you can't go into his history. It's too convoluted. He predates almost all of Marvel and DC. He actually does. But anyway, it's a long story. Story by Stanley. At this time, I don't know. I put the question mark there. I don't know what Stan was pretty much kind of out of it. He's listed as editor. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Stan did it. I will give him the benefit of the doubt. Full art by John Buscema. Love him. He's the great one. Second and third stories were reprints from an old Atlas series, Lorna the Jungle Girl, number 14. And of course, it sports a brilliant Gil Kane cover with some Frank Iasoya finishes there. So, great stuff. And last but not least, Conan the Barbarian. Conan the Barbarian from, number 12. Story, the first story by, again, the master of Conan, the man who gave us Conan really in comics. He really resurrected the character from books, from the Robert E. Howard books. The rascally one, Roy Thomas. And, of course, art by the magnificent Barry Smith, who did not have Windsor in the middle of his name yet, I don't believe. Barry Windsor Smith, though, is who he is. He's one of the all-time greats. Love his Conan. To me, almost definitive on Conan for me anyway. There was a second story by Thomas and the magnificent Gil Kane. D-Hands. That's a code for diverse hands. It was like Bernie Wright and actually a few other people working like 3 other different inkers. And they used to, every time you see D-Hands in an old comic, that means 3 or 4 different people from one of these farmed out sweatshop things or something was doing some of the inks or finishing for the comic because they had deadlines, folks. Long story, but anyway, yeah, D-Hands. And then one of them was Wrightson. I can't remember who the other one's off the top of my head. Sorry. With a great Kane cover that cannot be ruined by Vince Colletta. It says Vince Coletta's inked this thing. I think it's full Kane, but because Gil Kane once referred to Vince Colletta as DC and Marvel Comics first sanctioned abortionist. He was the Gil Kanes. But we love Gil Kane and not so much Colletta. All right, everyone. I'm going to leave, like I said, in the description below, the link for this fantastic page for September 71 in Mike's Amazing World blog. So you can look at those. And that was my cutoff point, of course, was Conan number 12. But you can feel free to pick any you want. I'm going to do 9 more starting from that point. And there are going to be some nice ones in there. For next week, it'll be next Wednesday. It'll be this, so I'm going to make this a regular thing on Wednesdays now. But I needed to get these 2 videos done because I was behind the 8 ball on that. But I want to thank everyone here. And as always, a shout out to my wonderful first officer. Yes, going too fast. We're going to get these videos right. They're kind of clunky right now. I understand it. And I'm going to try to make them shorter if I can, but we'll see. But I appreciate everyone out there. I appreciate the comments and the likes and the views. And thank you so much. And a big shout out to my wonderful first officer, the magnificent Raquel Briggs, for making this spiffy intro outro. Take care, my friends.